Welcome to the Behind the Bar podcast. Today we are joined by Will. Will, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Will and I am assistant manager at the Turk.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. We previously had your manager, Ollie, on the podcast with us. He said very nice things about you, obviously. And I hope you're going to say nice things about him too, maybe?
Maybe.
Obviously, you said you work in Turk's Head. How did you get into the Turk's Head? How did you start working there? Is that the first pub you've worked in?
Yeah, it's the first job I've ever had, actually. I started there when I was about 15 years old. Obviously, we're quite close to England's rugby stadium, so I used to go and do the rugby days because my dad knew Ollie's predecessor. So she sort of got me a role there, just sort of running plates and collecting glasses and stuff. So that was my first sort of introduction into it all. So I did that about 5-6 times a year. And then when I turned 18, I finished college and I was a bit of a loose end. Didn't really know what I wanted to sort of do. So I thought, I've worked there before. I'll go have my CV in. Got a job there as bar staff and fell in love with it, to be honest, and started working my way up to management, and here we are.
You are. So what did you study at college?
I did geography, history, and English literature.
Okay, that's completely different hospitality. Completely and just nothing interested you in that. Move on to.
I mean,
that's a difficult thing to get into. Like, if you're not a teacher, what else do you do from that?
To be honest, I only picked them. I didn't really even know why I picked them.
Okay,
just sort of picked them. Quite liked writing essays, so quite essay based.
I don't know. That's not a fun thing.
Yeah, obviously there was the option to go to uni, but I thought there's nothing that really interests me too much, and I know how much it costs and how much of a commitment it is. So
a huge amount, huge cost.
I sort of weighed up the pros and cons and decided that it's not worth going for sort of the social aspect of uni for that much money.
I didn't go to uni for that reason. My friends went, so I had the social aspect without the 40 grand debt.
Well, that's the thing as well, because all my friends went to uni, so I was sort of the only one who didn't go, and I felt like when I was in sixth form, there was a lot of pressure to go to uni, and the people who were going to uni were the ones who got supported the most. So it was quite tough not making that decision to go. And I sort of thought, I'll just get a job, try and some money, and found the Turk's Head.
4 years ago you left college?
Yeah.
And it was still uni was still being quite a big thing then?
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of an expectation then that everyone went to uni. They didn't really offer too much support for people who didn't go to uni, and there wasn't really much sort of alternative options of what you could do if you didn't want to go to uni. So there was a lot of pressure in that sense. But
no, I get that. When I was finished college 12 years ago, that makes me feel really old. And it was a huge thing. If you didn't go to uni, they didn't care about you.
Yeah.
If you weren't going to uni, they wanted you to finish your course and sort of leave. So I completely understand that. And you did. I think you've done really well to get where you are now. I'm not saying that you haven't worked hard for that, but you've done a really good job in the last 4 years?
4 and a bit.
4 and a bit, yeah. So how did you find, obviously you'd worked there before and you went back in. Had it changed a lot? Was it completely different? Was Ollie there?
Ollie was there. To be honest, when I was working there when I was 15, 16 years old, my sort of perception of it was completely different. I sort of went in and didn't think I had to work that hard, just ran a few plates, sort of ate some sweets, did a bit of chatting, not too much. I didn't really take it too seriously. When I turned 18, I knew there was something there that I wanted to commit to. And Ollie was there. I'll tell the story of when I had my interview with Ollie, but he calls me the guy who came in for his interview with his dad.
You took your dad to your interview?
Yeah.
That's cute. Why?
Well, so basically, me and Ollie were exchanging emails, and I was eating lunch in the pub with my dad, just coincidentally, and I sort of emailed him saying, I'm around now if you want to have a little chat.
Okay, yeah.
So I didn't actually
take my dad to the interview. You didn't just walk in with your dad, you and your dad in suits, not that there's anything wrong with doing that.
No, but it's not the best look.
No, I mean, if you get your parents' approval to work in a pub, though, that's a huge thing nowadays.
I mean, my dad was very happy for me to work there because he goes quite a lot.
Yeah,
so.
My dad's very happy that I work in a pub too. It's a convenient lift home.
Yeah, and he liked the discount. So.
Yeah, your dad was there for your interview.
Well, he left and let me and Ollie chat, but yeah, he was there. And I was very shy, so it was a massive thing for me, sort of going out, getting a job, and introduce myself to all these new people and sort of put myself out there. Ollie gave me the job and started part-time for a month or so, and then quite liked it, so I went full-time, and then got completely addicted
Was the
to it.
part-time just so you could sort of get used to it and see how you felt?
I think, to be honest, when I first joined, I didn't think it was going to be a long-term thing, and then I like the people there, I like the work, and I like the money. So
Always helps.
Yeah, so I sort of thought, oh, I've got quite a lot of spare time. There's no harm in going full time, and it might bring about something good. So.
And you said you found it quite difficult. Like, was the Turk's Head the only place that you gave your CV to, or did you go to other places? Or
There were a few places around, a couple of pubs. I was sort of being pushed into that by my mum. She sort of just wanted me to get a job anywhere to keep myself busy. None of those really sort of panned out very well. So the Turk's Head was the first one that sort of accepted me.
Yeah. And it is difficult. I think people don't understand that, like, if you're filling out an application online, you're fine because no one knows who you are. They can't see, like, when you're, like, you might be terrified while you're filling out the application form, but actually going into somewhere and giving your CV in is a huge thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for a lot of 18-year-olds who it's probably their first job, they've been supported by their parents all their lives, it is a massive thing. And I think that's why, the interview process is it's not as important as people think, because you can't judge someone by a CV. You have to meet them. And I think with a lot of people that age, they're very sort of within themselves and introverted, so it's quite hard to get to know them. So, our jobs as interviewers and trainers is quite difficult in that sense.
So do you interview people for the team now?
Yeah. I'm sort of
Is
in
it
charge of recruitment.
weird being the other side of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's good, though, because I've got a lot of sympathy, because a lot of the people that are coming in are local kids, 16, 17, 18 years old, and it is their first job, and a lot of their parents do come into the pub, so I've got a lot of sympathy for them in that sense. And I think the sort of mantra that we have is we offer everyone an interview, because we don't want to judge anyone by their CV, because it's just a piece of paper. We want to judge someone by how they act and how they can converse with us and how we think they'll gel into the team and with the customers.
We've been having this debate recently about CVs, and there is a huge thing in the industry if they're important.
Yeah.
And we feel like they are important to a degree where you find out where the person, like, where they live, their details and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you can't have it written down on a piece of paper if you are good at speaking to customers and stuff. That's not, and It should be. A lot of places I know they do trial shifts. Do you guys do you can come in for a day, see how it feels?
We do induction shifts,
Yeah.
but that's normally after people have got the job. They come in and we'll give them a proper tour and show them sort of our operating procedures. And, we don't really have probation periods anymore, but, we have those induction shifts where it gives people a good chance to see how we work.
So how does the whole recruitment process start? So if I walked into a pub and I had a CV in my hand, what would happen?
I would probably ask you about your availability. A lot of people are like, I can only do 1 day a week. And it's like,
Not really helpful.
Yeah, but we'd probably get you to apply online, because it's just
Is it all
easier
done through fillers?
So it's a system called Harry that we use, and that makes it really easy to move people from sort of one stage to another. We can schedule interviews there, and we can contact them there. We can send them off to our payroll, put all their information in, hire them
All in one place
all
makes
on
it
that
a lot
system.
easier.
It does make it a lot easier compared to sort of going back and forth with emails and not really knowing where each person stands.
From working in the pub when you were younger to now, have you had people turn around and just be like, when are you going to get a proper job? Do they know that full-time is full-time?
Not a lot, to be fair. As I say, my dad was quite happy for me to work in the pub.
Yeah.
He's always been a big sort of admirer of the Turk's Head, so he was quite happy when I joined the pub. And my mum the same. She's been quite supportive through it all. She sort of, if I'm happy doing it, then she's happy for me to do it. I think the main sense of where I've got that feeling is from the front of house team. You've got these young people coming in and it's their first job, and they're maybe not taking it too seriously. They think it's just, you're coming in and you're pouring a couple of pints. And especially at the sort of senior bar staff / supervisor level, there was a lot of sort of questions of, are you doing this for a career? And I was thinking, I'm thinking about it, but and a lot of them just sort of didn't really buy into it. There wasn't a lot of sort of thought of, oh, this could be a potential career.
And how do you just sort of change their perspective on that? Because obviously, if someone's just literally coming in to work a Saturday, earn some money to go out for the week, like if that's a perspective on it, do you try and change their perspective? Do you?
Yeah, definitely. I think within your businesses, definitely sort of training people up and getting them to understand that it's not just coming in, pouring pints, chatting to customers. You know, there is a lot of behind the scenes stuff that happens. You know, deliveries, all the seller work. You know, with us, we've got all our events that go on, so we can get them sort of helping organising, setting up, operating those. You know, there's a million things to learn in a pub or in the hospitality industry. I think also getting them to understand why we do what we do, rather than just monkey see, monkey do, is massive, because then they get behind sort of our vision, our values, and then they can buy into it, and then they want to work for a common goal.
Yeah, and I suppose it makes them feel included in it. And if they had if they had ideas and stuff, do you take on do you sit and listen to everyone's ideas? Is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just your idea. It's not just Ollie's idea.
I would hate it if it was like that. And I say to all the front of house team, you know, if you've got ideas, please tell me. You know, as much as we give them feedback, we want feedback. It's definitely a two-way street. You know, we had one of our front of house team recently, a guy called Ethan, who took it upon himself to redesign our cocktail recipes and our spec sheets, because he understood that it wasn't working how it was, and he's made these lovely sort of little laminated strips where it's really easy. You can just grab it and it's got everything you need to make the cocktail in it. So seeing that sort of initiative coming from front of house team, you know, seeing them go above and beyond is really nice.
So you said that you are now assistant manager?
Yep.
How did you find the process of going from working in the bar all the way up to that? Like, were you supported? Have you had the training side of it?
It was self-driven. You know, no one's gonna. It has to come from you. You have to show that initiative, and if you've got the right attitude, then people are gonna sort of show that support and take an interest in you. But yeah, definitely a lot of support from Fuller's and from the team at the Turk's Head. You know, they put me on seller courses and all this different kinds of sort of classroom formal learning. The course I'm on at the minute, which I'm about to finish in January, is it's called Accelerated Leadership, and it's a 12-month program, and you get a level 3 apprenticeship at the end, and that's all sort of paid for by Fuller's. So I don't think there's many companies that would put a 22-year-old assistant manager on a course like that. So it was really nice to sort of have that backing from the people at the Turks and from the company.
Are you looking at doing the next level? Is there a next level for you in your role?
Yeah, so the next obvious level would be up to deputy manager, and there's a course within Fuller's called MTP, which is Management Training Program, which is for assistant managers and deputies to sort of prepare them for being a GM. So yeah, that's sort of the next obvious step.
Are you going to do it?
It'd be great to get on it.
Yeah. How does the process work to get on on these apprenticeships? Do you just apply and then hope that?
There's different cycles, I believe, and it just sort of it depends on the time.
I'm assuming the Fullers have a certain amount they can do at once, and then if you're on that, and then what is your goal? Like, is your goal to run a pub, own a pub, stay in the industry forever? I mean, you're in the industry, you don't have to have a life goal.
Forever. I mean, I'm really enjoying it at the minute, and I'm not wanting to get out anytime soon. I think sort of goal right now would be having my own pub would be amazing.
It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, definitely. But as I said before, I'm quite addicted to it. So to me, it doesn't feel like sort of draining work. It's work that I want to do.
That's the one thing that we're really keen on trying to let people know, is that if you're in a role that you enjoy, it's not work. Shouldn't be boring. It shouldn't be hard work. You shouldn't consider it as work. It should be a day-to-day thing that you just do because you love doing it.
Yeah.
And I think the hospitality industry does offer that to everyone, but it's just people understanding how and where they can find that. And like you said, you don't find it boring.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
find it
there's
boring
probably
at all.
slightly boring aspects to your job.
Well,
everyone has boring aspects to their job.
Yeah, obviously there's stuff that's less enjoyable than other things. But the place where the Turk's Head is, such a complex business with events and the rugby and all this different stuff going on. So every day is different, and you know, it's tiring, definitely, you know, 6-day weeks, 7-day weeks, but that's work that I'm happy to do. And I know what I'm working towards for myself and for the business. So it's definitely work that I'm happy to do.
And I'm assuming you work shifts.
Yeah.
Does it vary every week? Or like monthly or?
There's sort of regular shifts that I do, obviously for like stuff like stock count on Monday mornings and stuff like that. But yeah, they're pretty regular, to be honest. We try to give everyone 2 days off a week, but you know, obviously I live in, so it's not. It doesn't always pan out that way.
Everyone knows that hospitality is not the easiest of jobs. Sometimes you have to work hard, but like we just said, working hard doesn't mean that you are bored all the time. You're not enjoying your job. You can work hard and really love what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think we're not going to beat around the bush with workforce. We are going to tell people that they do have to pull their socks up sometimes, and it is a big thing. But if you get to the point where, like you are, that you are enjoying your job, and one day you might be having to clean out the cellar, the next you might be serving some really nice customers that you know really well. If you're enjoying what you do, it shouldn't matter whether you're working 5 days, 6 days, or you're doing an early shift, a late shift, a night shift. And people don't realise that you can really enjoy what hospitality offers.
Yeah, and I think if you've got a goal in place, you know, obviously my current goal being a general manager, you know, if you're working towards something and you know you're working to better yourself and to better the place where you work and to better the people who work there, you know, it definitely makes it a lot easier putting those sort of long hours and early starts, late finishes.
And I'm sure the team helped you.
Yeah,
if you've got the supportive team behind you or
100%.
working with them, then it makes it more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your favourite part about working in a pub?
I think just how every day is different, to be honest. I think the main thing is, in the position I'm in now, I'm able to affect change on other people, and I think that's a really special thing. You know, the fact that I've got these sort of 18-year-olds coming through the door who are potentially going to be the next generation of general managers, I think that's quite special, that I'm the person who gets to sort of design their training plan and see them through it all.
I imagine it's quite rewarding.
Yeah, massively. You know, there's definitely tough days, especially in that sense, because you get people who are sort of buying back, and
yeah,
you know,
the younger generation likes to tell us how it is.
Exactly. Making me feel old.
I realised when I said that you are still the younger generation. Yeah. No, I'm just old. That's how it happens.
When you get those people walking in who really do take an interest and they have initiative and they have the right attitude, and you know, you can get them on these paths where they're really improving themselves and learning a lot of different skills, you know, it is proper special.
Is there anything that's like the worst thing about working in pubs? Is there something that you think, God, I have to do that today?
Obviously, there's less enjoyable tasks, you know. Full stock count isn't the most fun thing.
No, never.
You know, as assistant manager, I'm the person who the front of house team are going to come and grab if there is a difficult person. So, you know, sometimes you get rude people, and it's sometimes quite difficult to deal with them. And especially on sort of bigger days, you know, stuff like Christmas Day, when stuff goes wrong, it is quite difficult to take, especially when you're putting your heart and soul into it, you know. If stuff doesn't go as you planned it, you know, if you don't make enough money, or you know, people are unhappy with the end product, then you know, it's quite difficult.
And how do you personally deal with that when you have had a bad day, you've had a customer shout in your face or return their food or not be happy or leave and stuff? How do you personally deal with that? Do you
just remember tomorrow's a new day? Make sure you've got the right attitude and that you're learning from your mistakes, because that's going to put you head and shoulders above most people. Just don't make the same mistake twice.
I like that. And every mistake just helps you learn and grow, I guess.
Exactly. Mistakes happen. They're always going to happen in any industry, in any field. But the least we can do is learn from them to make us and our business better places. So
on that note, what's the biggest thing you feel like you've learned from being in the pub or the hospitality industry?
For me personally, it is quite... There's been a lot of personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could sort of sit here and list 40 hard skills, you know, racking ale and stuff like that, but...
Which is hard.
It is hard, but...
And there is an art to it.
Yeah, there is an art.
Especially I was tapping a barrel yesterday, and I got absolutely covered in beer.
Beer shower.
Yeah, this is not what I need. And then you go upstairs to pour beer, and they're like, "Why do you smell like beer?" Because I work in a pub. Why else?
It's happened to all of us.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, when I joined the industry, I was in a very different place. As I said, I all my friends had gone off to university and I was a bit lost.
Mm-hmm.
That can take you to some pretty bad places, I think. And joining the Turk's Head and the industry gave me a sort of a sense of purpose. I enjoyed being within a team, working within a team, and then sort of at supervisor level, sort of being the head of that team, and then at assistant manager level, sort of running that team. So it's definitely given me a lot of purpose. Yeah, I just think the personal growth that I found with it. As I say, I was quite introverted when I was younger, and now I think,
Now you're sat on a podcast and doing
exactly,
18-year-olds, you would be like, what am I doing?
Exactly it.
Sorry, what the am I doing?
18-year-old me would have never, ever, ever thought that I would be doing anything like this, let alone being an assistant manager of an award-winning business. So it's pretty amazing.
That's good. You can see and hear how like passionate you are about the job, which is a big thing. And I've worked in several jobs. Some of them I'm really passionate about, some of them not so. And I think when you find that job that you are passionate about, it makes such a big difference. Like you said, you enjoy every day.
Exactly.
It's all different. You enjoy it no matter even if your manager's annoying you that day, you still can you can still enjoy it, and you can have. And I think a huge aspect is having the banter, but making sure you understand where the banter can start and end. And if you don't have that relationship with the team and things, I think it makes it a lot really difficult.
Yeah, definitely. You have to definitely get the right sort of biting point in that sense, and I think that just comes from making sure you're praising overperformance, but also challenging underperformance, because you want to appreciate the good things they do, but also you want to stretch them as much as possible so they're developing as much as they can.
Yeah. How do you find you said that you set up training plans for people? Is that right? How is each training plan different depending on the individual, or?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on them. There's a couple of courses that everyone sort of has to hit. If people are going into sort of supervisor level, we want them to be competent in the cellar.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of sort of first aid and alcohol
The ones you
retailing
have to do.
courses and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But you have to sort of look at the person. If their skills are within people, then we'll get them focused on that. If their skills are within sort of operations, we'll get them doing events. So you really have to look at the person, but it's also completely up to them. If they want to go on whatever trajectory, then we'll do our best to sort of help them get to the stage where they want to be.
How many people do you look after on your team?
Right now, our team's about 30, with the kitchen included. Yeah, quite a lot.
You've done all their training or worked with a lot of them on their training?
So a lot of them are very new, so it'd be quite difficult to get proper plans in place. We've held one-to-ones with every single person, and sort of got some objectives down. Some of them are quite sort of basic, some of them are a bit more sort of stretched. But we definitely like to sort of keep tabs on how everyone's doing and make sure that we're making it as personal as possible.
And have you found that there's a lot more younger, and I mean younger than you, there's a lot more younger people coming into the industry again? Because I know there was a break in people just generally wanting to work in pubs. Is it what is your age range of your staff at the moment?
We're about 16 to 25 sort of average. Obviously we've got a few people above that age range, but most of them is 18, 19-year-olds like myself when I joined, who finished college, don't want to go to uni, or they're doing a gap year, or they want to do travelling or whatever, and they just want to earn some money. And I think a lot of them come in thinking, I'll just come in and earn some money, not realising that it is a place where you can develop yourself a lot. Even if you're only there for a year, there's skills you can learn. There's the social skills, the hard skills.
They're life skills at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to take them away, and you're going to have that forever. So yeah, it is really important in that sense.
And have you found a lot more people? Obviously, you said they come into the pub and they're I'm just making some money and then I'm going to go off it to uni or something. Have you found that quite a few of them have gone, actually, this is great, I can get a career? Or is it something that you're still trying? There's still quite a.
It is still a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
And it makes it difficult for me, who does the recruiting. Have people leaving, people joining, and then you don't know when they're leaving, and you've got these sort of plans for them, and then they just sort of pack up and leave, and it is quite difficult. But, you know, we've got sort of times in the year when we tend to hire, which is sort of around the summer, you know, sort of May, June time.
Is that
and
when
then-
everyone finishes uni and they're sort of looking
Yeah.
for, yeah.
or when people are going off travelling for the summer, and then sort of in September when people have finished their A-levels and they want a job for the sort of next year or so.
Yeah, so that's what Workforce is really going to focus on, is that it's not just a job to get money. It is a career, and we
Yeah.
really want to develop that. And hearing from people like yourself really makes a difference, because I could tell a 16-year-old that working in the pub would be the best thing they could ever do, but until they actually hear or experience it themselves, like I don't think they really understand what we're on about. I have to ask this question because what's your favourite thing about working with Ollie? Who is your manager? Let's pretend he's not in the room.
I think the best thing about Ollie is that he makes our professional relationship feels very personal, if that makes sense. I feel very stretched.
You're not just talking to a guy in a suit like you would be
Exactly.
in a corporate job.
You know, we spent lockdown together, and that definitely helped that sort of relationship. But in the professional sense, I feel very stretched, and I feel like I'm working towards something with a massive amount of support from the person above me. And I feel like I'm constantly in a place where I can make mistakes, but also get better and learn from those mistakes, because I know that any mistake I'll make, Ollie will bring me up on it, challenge me, and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Which is what a good manager should do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you say that Ollie supports you, is that in everything? So if you were having a bad day, could you go to him and be like, look, I'm not 100% today? So like in our workplace, I could turn around to my manager and be like, look, I've not slept, having a bad day. I will be here, but I'm not mentally here. And they're so good about it that you can just turn around and be like, look, take 5 minutes, take an hour, do what you need to
Yeah,
do.
100%. I know that I could do that at any point if I needed to, and that doesn't happen very often because I'm not really that sort of person. I don't really like to I don't really like to say, oh, I need an hour, or I need today off.
And it's difficult when you're front of house or back of house. You can't really just go, oh, I'm just going to stop food for an hour because I'm not in the mood today.
And when you're living there, it's like, oh, you're just going to go 10 yards away.
Just going to go.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 60 seconds.
I think it's from something as small as even just texting me, like, is everything okay with the pub, to, you know, making sure I've got time to focus on, you know, my personal life, the courses that I'm doing. It just feels like I've got a lot of freedom, and it's not just about work. He also sort of takes an interest in me as a person, and makes sure that work-life balance is there.
We always have the thing in our job that if you are more than happy to go for a drink with someone after work, then you are working with the right team member. Like if you could happily sit there and have lunch, dinner, or a drink with them, then you're in the right team.
And we have done many times.
Yeah. Do you go to other pubs, or do you just sit at the bar?
Bit of a mix, to be honest. I think if it's a bit of an occasion, we'll go out for a nice dinner or something. But we do like to go to other pubs sometimes for a bit of a competitor analysis.
Yeah. It's a good excuse.
To go to a different
this
pub.
one for.
Yeah. No, but sometimes we'll be at the Turk's Head, sometimes we won't.
It's good that you can do that though, because I feel like if you can drink in your own pub and you can happily sit there, chat with the bar staff and all the customers, then you're in the right place.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit different for us because obviously we live in, so the last thing I'd want to feel is like I'm always there.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is nice to go elsewhere, but I'm quite happy at the Turk's Head.
But do you find it difficult sometimes to like break up the pub, the living and the socialising if you're doing it quite often at the Turks?
So for me, not really. I've got quite a good system in place. My mum and dad are both local, so if I need a bit of time away from the pub, I'll just go and see them. Obviously, I think exercise is massive for me. I'll go play football or go to the gym or whatever. But I've also been quite good at sort of separating. Once I walk through my front door, even if it is on the pub's property, I'm done with work. And I don't massively drink anyway, so it's not like I'm in Turk's Head on my off hours all the time. But I'm quite good at sort of separating work and personal life.
That's good. I think some people struggle with that, but
Absolutely.
You can have a really good work-life balance if you're in the right pub, right career sort of path.
It's taken me a long, long time to get right.
And it does. It's not something you can pick up on the first day.
No.
You can't go, right, I'm going to work.
It's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, 11 till 5 shift, and then I'm going to go home. Like, it just, your brain doesn't switch off. No one's brain switch off, no matter what job you're in. And I think that is a huge thing at the moment. And that's where people like the LTC come in, because you can call them if you're having a bad, like, struggling with stuff like that, and they will really help. But
Yeah.
and also having the support with your manager and fillers and everyone there helps
Definitely.
too. Big question: would you recommend a pub career to anyone? Is that something you'd recommend?
100%. I think the skills that you gain from it are some skills that you will not get anywhere else. It's such a unique industry, and even as much as coming in and chatting to some customers, it might, for me, that gave me the social skills I needed at the time, and that's what, to be honest, that's what really sort of sprung my interest in the industry and the job, just because I felt like I wasn't as much sort of as an introvert, and within myself, I had things to say and I was confident saying them. So yeah, definitely, I think take a chance. You might love it.
I like that. And obviously, you are here on with Workforce. How do you think the platform's going to help people?
I think the main thing in the industry is targeting sort of the younger generations. If we can get people in working in the industry at 18 years old, 18, 19, 20 years old, then we can set up they've got loads of time to sort of bed in, and we can set up these training plans for them. And if they've got a sort of portal where they can access all these skills that they can learn and all this information, I think it'd be really useful, because obviously you've got company specific portals, but they're only fitting with that company's operating procedures and values. So I think if we got one that every single person in the industry can access, it'd be really useful.
That's what we'd like to hear. That's a good positive attitude about it. It's going to be a really good platform, and I think it's really going to help people that don't quite understand what the industry offers. And I think that is the aim that we're going for. And with people like you, Ollie, Kaylee from the LTC, everyone that we are speaking to that's involved, we've got loads of partners. It's just going to grow and grow and grow, and it will be a platform that we don't want it to be just the BI running it. It's got such a collaborative platform.
Yeah.
And hearing from people like yourselves, like I said earlier, is going to make a huge difference. But yeah, no, we appreciate that. Do you have any questions?
Well, I mean, I'll just say, sort of, when I joined the industry, I was 18 and wasn't confident at all. And I think it can definitely be a very lonely place, especially when you start off. You've got no experience. It might be your first job. You don't really know what you're doing. Everyone's going to make mistakes, and it can feel like the world's caving in on you. I remember one time, on one of my first shifts at the Turk's Head, someone asked me for a lime and soda. I didn't know what it was, so I literally went into the toilet, Googled lime and soda, and then went back and made it for them. And that sort of situation is
People assume you know these things, though.
exactly, and it's someone's first job potentially. They're not going to have all the answers, and it can feel quite daunting. And obviously, we all know what the pub environment is like.
If you get something wrong, a customer will tell you.
Exactly, and when alcohol's flowing around, it's not always the nicest people who are working with you. So I think just my advice to those starting out would be, you're going to make mistakes, but just learn from them, and make sure you're asking questions.
No question is a bad question. I think it's a huge thing, and people think worry about it so much that in the industry, there's nothing can be a bad question. It might be a question that someone's been asked 10 times, but at least you're asking questions, and it shows that you're willing to learn as well. I think it's a huge thing.
As long as you go in with the right attitude, then you're going to be a star.
So what we do on the podcast, and I'm sure people know this by now, is that the previous person has written down some questions to ask you. I don't know what they are. You obviously don't know what they are. Your questions were wonderfully written by your manager, Ollie. This could go really well or really badly. He has written 2 down. So the first one, which I think is a very good question, actually. If a movie was made about your career, who would play your role?
Oh my God.
That's a really hard question.
That is a hard question. I'm trying to think of someone who's got a young face. Maybe Timothy Chalamet.
Good choice.
He's got quite a young face and brown hair, so yeah, I'll take him.
And he's up and coming at the moment.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I'll take him.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good choice.
I don't know if he'd do it though.
Well, we can ask him. We're dropping him an email afterwards. We'll send him the podcast and go, by the way, we're making a movie about this. What would you do one day if he walked in the pub?
We've actually had quite a couple of famous people come in.
Like, are they all rugby players?
No, they. I can't remember his name. The kid from Stranger Things, who plays.
Which one?
He's got black hair.
Mike?
Quite tall. Yeah, he plays Mike. He was in with his family.
That's cool.
They're massive Beatles fans. So he had like massive cameras and stuff. Yeah, Keith Lemon come in.
I don't really know.
And Ian Sterling. They came in for lunch, and we got some photos with them.
Ian Sterling's cool.
Yeah, obviously
Keith's
with the
not my favourite person.
with the comedy nights, we have quite famous comedians coming in. We had Rob Brydon last night. People like Greg Davies, Harry Hill. Yeah, we get quite a lot.
That's
of
quite
famous
big
people.
names.
Yeah,
And do you fangirl over them, or you?
a bit. Yeah. I mean, I'm normally running the comedy, so I always say hello to them and say, "Oh, it's good."
We've had a
set,"
few
but-
famous people at our events, and I'm like, can I go up to them and ask for a selfie? Or is, like, I should be running this event, so do I have to look professional?
Yeah.
Or can I be like, excuse me, can I take a photo? Okay, the second question. Oh, these are good questions. What piece of advice would you give yourself 6 months ago?
I think just keep doing what you're doing. I think something with me is I doubt myself quite a lot. I never really know if I'm doing a good job. And I think just self-reassurance that you are doing the right thing. You know, the business is doing well and the team are doing well. Just believing in myself a little bit, I think.
You shouldn't doubt yourself, though.
No, not
You're
at all.
22 and you're an assistant manager. Like, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
You should have faith in
I should have a
yourself.
bit more faith in
Yeah, you
myself.
should. But I completely self-doubt is such a huge thing. So, no. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.